Okay, so Lori comes over and he just takes the mic away. So I was so excited to want to do this because I believe that what Jason said, that this is about leadership. It is about leadership, and I never believed in any associations when I was involved in other things. I wasn't thinking about it, but many of you know who have been here after 9/11. Okay, we started something called the Convention Exhibit Meeting Coalition, and we put together a team of 400 people who worked tirelessly almost for 6 months after 9/11 to help bring the city back. How many people here were involved in that? I mean, there's a lot of people here that were involved in it. It was called CB. And it made me realize the importance of leadership and the importance of getting involved in your community. And it was probably one of the most rewarding things that I have ever done. And it taught me that if you give, you're going to get back. And it's that rule of nature that really works. And so we're here today to talk about leadership and getting people involved. Whether you're involved or your company is involved or the people in your company involved, encouraging them to get to be part of the community, to peek over the fence to see what other people are doing is more important than you can ever imagine. So we're going to start with the elevator pitch. If I had a little cheat sheet when I got involved in this industry to figure out what the initials meant to everything, it would be a lot easier because I felt embarrassed to ask. I don't know what site is or PCMA. Everybody talks in jargon. And we really don't understand any of it, right? Until you sort of get it translated. So we're going to see, we're going to go down the line, we're going to start with Tom, and he's going to talk about MPI in the elevator pitch for 30 seconds. All right.
Hi, I'm Krista Reimer, and I am President-elect for SITE, Society for Incentive Travel Excellence. And in a nutshell, we specialize and focus on incentive travel. So different than maybe meetings or corporate planners, while we have all of those as our members, our focus really is on incentive travel, well, into New York and of course outbound all across the globe.
And the difference between the SITE and ADME is?
Well, ADME, which is called something different now.
The Association of Destination Management Executives International.
ADME-I. ADME is focused on destination management companies, DMCs, for each destination in the world. And SITE will compromise DMCs, but also corporate direct planners that are planners for incentive travel, also hoteliers and suppliers that their market is incentive travel. So.
Thanks. Thank you. I want to ask everyone, how many people are members of any of these organizations? Let me go the other way. How many people are not members of any of these organizations? Okay. And so your job is to convince them to join your organization. And actually, you're not talking to them, but this is social media world. You're really talking to them and their 17 friends and their 17 friends and their 17 friends. So this is the pitch to do that. And so I want to start first with go around the horn on what are the benefits of being a member? What's a personal benefit of being a member? Oh yeah, we need the microphone. Direct benefits that you got.
Well, I think that because we're in the incentive market, it's already a niche market, and I think that our organization really focuses on the 50 rule, meaning most of our events are 50 people or under, which really, just speaking to both of your points, are networking and getting to know the people that you're sitting next to and not having a room full of 300 people. We have 50 people or under, and the other really important thing that we like to do to bring benefit to both our planners and suppliers is a 50% mix of planner to supplier, and we really, really focus on keeping it that for all, whether it's networking, whether it's our education events, to keep everybody networking, everybody feeling like they have a benefit within our very specific industry.
Thank you. You know, I will tell one little quick story. Yeah, we'll bring it back over here, I guess, because it's easier. But I had the privilege of working with the State Department for the last 6 years. And one of the jobs was to raise $21 million for the 8th floor of the State Department as a museum. And so what can we do? We can do anything we want. So we decided to have Charlie Rose interview Hillary Clinton and Henry Kissinger together. And the one thing I learned about our business from that discussion was when Henry Kissinger said to Hillary, you know, Hillary, I can't do a Henry Kissinger accent, that you're drinking from a fire hose every day. All you are doing is spending your intellectual capital. You cannot make decisions. You have to take time to build your intellectual capital. And that he says he takes time off all the time to go to conferences, to go to meetings, to study and learn. And what these associations do are a way to build your intellectual capital. And I learned that, I thought, that's the reason we do conferences. And it was really an eye-opening thing for me. So, so that's my advice to why you should also get involved. We have heard about networking, we heard about taking a leadership role, we talk about building your intellectual capital in your niche, which is pretty fantastic. Now I want to go and sort of touch a little bit on the economic aspects of this. Like, what does it cost to join, and why is it worth it, and how do you pitch your boss to get to be a member? I mean, why spend the money to do it? What crosses the Rubicon to get you there? And talk a little bit about why it was worth it and how you actually got your company, your organization to pay for it. Because most of these are paid for by companies, yes or no? Most of the companies are paying for us. So how do you convince well, if you're an individual entrepreneur, your company's paying for it, but you've got to make the decision whether it's worth it or not. So you're voting with your dollars in this. So this is kind of a little bit of the tough question. Tom, you want to give it a shot?
What was the question?
We're in the hospitality industry.
In all honesty, I do think, Diane, what you said is exactly to the point of some of us here are global organizations, and the fees go into being a global organization. We have, I don't know, 30 or 40 chapters across the world that support in our incentive travel education, our goals, our research, our events. We have global conferences, the same as a lot of other organizations. So it's really looking into what is your specific niche in your industry and moving forward from there. If you're a meeting planner, if you're in incentives, if you do associations, and focusing on that.
So one of the interesting things when you say global organization, I think it's kind of cool to go to the global conferences for these things. I mean, that's a benefit no one talks about. But, you know,
absolutely.
The idea of going to Vancouver in January with all...
What about India? In 2 weeks for Site Global.
Why do you need to have a global conference? That's what it means. That is global.
Very global there.
But it is interesting. That is a benefit. I mean, when you do the PCMA and HSMAI does things in different, you have opportunities to see what's happening around the world.
And connecting with those people all around the world. Especially for incentives for us. Incentive, of course, is so international. So for us, it's key to have those contacts all around the globe.
Well, the one interesting thing learning is we're going much more global, and everybody around the world is doing exactly the same thing that we're doing. And so that's really interesting. So, okay, so but then we have all these events that you do together, right? How do you guys work together? I go to Christmas parties and it's everybody together, so why not just have one big organization? What's your answer to that, Tom? The hot seat, Mr. Vice President of the class of what?
High school or college?
Oh my God, college. What college?
03.
03, and then what, were you the Vice President in college too?
No, I was president of my fraternity.
President of your fraternity. Now we're really getting to that. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what everybody's doing together. Let's talk about collaboration, because we are all in one industry, and we're all have the same goals. And to me, the goal is to get people to collaborate, to have conversations, and change the world. Yeah, that's why I think that the idea of using YEP as a theater organization and a gateway, you know, leaning into this, I always believe in leaning into millennials. Because when boomers lean into millennials and they leave their ego at the door on both sides, it's magical. And I have a lot of millennials working with me, and I think they're the smartest generation coming, even much smarter than we are. And that's my pitch for millennials.
Yeah, and there's no membership fee in there's no membership fee in WAM, but their students are always welcome, and we encourage leadership positions. We encourage people to take on leadership roles and
you
do
take
something.
Volunteers for all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
I know that all of us take volunteers, right? Yes. Volunteers are the secret weapon of New York City. And when we do our trade shows, we get 70, 80 volunteers at a pop. So, and other events get lots of volunteers, and it's really an amazing way to recruit people who want to get in the industry. It's the other thing I tell people when they want to get in. Volunteer for something.
Chris's point, Site's big focus is on young leaders, so we focus on anybody 5 years or less in the industry or 35 years or younger. And we actually have developed that position so much that we now have a full-time board member that just does young leaders events. So anybody here as well who's, you don't have to be 35 or younger, but 5 years or less in industry is really what we're focused on. Please contact anybody from site. We're really, really keen on getting you involved. It's complimentary. We love to have you.
So maybe there's some interesting thing about our discussion at the table and here about using YEP to be a feeder organization for your mentoring programs, which would be a great connection. And we see that, I think that we appreciate that YEP is hosting this, which shows tremendous initiative on their part to even think about this idea. So I congratulate them for that. And I want to open up for anyone have questions out there.